Good afternoon and welcome to the Ari-Son Megaregion webinar. I'm Nathan Pryor, the Policy and Government Relations Director for the Maricopa Association of Governments. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so your participation in today's event is seamless. There will be interpretation services available in both English and Spanish. We encourage the audience to please see the planet icon displayed on your Zoom options. If you select that icon, you can listen to the simultaneous interpretation services of your choice. We would like to thank the University of Arizona's interpreters, Isabel Fierro and Ron Zalone, for their participation in this meeting. We encourage you to share your thoughts on social media and use the hashtag Ari-Son2021 and follow the accounts displayed on your screen. You will have the opportunity to answer a quick survey about your experience during this webinar. We will be providing that link shortly. I would like to now introduce the chair of the Maricopa Association of Governments Economic Development Committee, the Honorable David Luna, Council Member, City of Mesa. Chair Luna has a doctorate in educational leadership from Northern Arizona University, and among many other distinguished positions, he has served as president of the Hispanic Elected Local Officials Board of Directors at the National League of Cities. Chair Luna, thank you for joining us. You have the floor.
Thank you, Nathan. We are so honored that our distinguished guests are here, and together we can celebrate our strong binational ties during this event hosted by the Ari-Son Megaregion Council, a binational council of elected officials from Arizona and Sonora, Mexico. We are, for the first time, reaching all of you in your place of work, your home, or now, maybe both, across the different cities, towns, and native nations in Arizona, Sonora, and beyond. The council was created in 2014 with a goal of expanding local government connections and exchanging the latest best practice for the betterment of our binational region and our countries. The Ari-Son Megaregion Council provides a forum to elevate the voice of local leadership on binational policy matters. Its members work to identify areas of opportunity and potential cross-border collaboration. Thank you for joining us in this effort to virtually engage in important conversations regarding the COVID-19 pandemic and the opportunities for economic recovery. To begin this discussion, I have the unique honor of introducing two foreign diplomats who have worked tirelessly to serve the citizens of our binational region, the Honorable Consul General of the United States in Hermosillo, Ken Roy, and the Honorable Consul General of Mexico in Phoenix, Jorge Mendoza Yescas. Consul General Yescas joined the Mexican Foreign Service in 2004. He holds a master's degree in public administration from Sul-Ross State University in Texas and a law degree from the Universidad de Sonora. Prior to his studies, he served the Mexican government at different consular office positions in Tucson, Arizona, Presidio, Texas, and Vancouver, Canada. He began his tenure at the Mexican Consul General in Phoenix in March of 2019. Consul General Roy joined the U.S. Foreign Service in 1999. He holds a master's degree in international security studies from the U.S. National Defense University. Prior to his studies, he served the U.S. government as Chief Foreign Policy Advisor to the Air Force Special Operations Command in Florida. He began his tenure at the U.S. Consul Generals in Hermosillo in August 2020. It's a pleasure to have both of you here. Consul General Ken Roy, now you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone, y buenos días. Saludos desde Hermosillo, Sonora. No sé si mi cámara todavía está. Buenos días. Y Cónsul General de México en Phoenix, Jorge Mendoza Yescas. Council member of the City of Mesa and Economic Development Committee Chair, the Maricopa Association of Governments, David Luna. Arizona and Sonora authorities, Maricopa Association of Government Representatives, members of the Ari-Son Megaregion Council. It is an honor to speak with you today. First, I would like to recognize the importance of regional planning organizations like the Maricopa Association of Governments and of this council, bringing together stakeholders from all levels of government and the business community is vital to economic development, environmental sustainability, and public security. The U.S. State Department, of course, is committed to working with governments in Mexico at all levels to advance our shared goals. But in addition to our official conversations, my team and I work tirelessly with the private sector, business chambers, NGOs, educators, and the media. We are focused on supporting initiatives such as yours. We share your commitment to expand trade and the quality of life of its residents. And in this case, in this region, that means binational cooperation. Those of us working in Sonora never lose sight of the importance of engaging with our partners in Arizona. Thanks to organizations like yours, the Megaregion is an impressive example to other binational communities of how cross-border collaboration and advocacy should be done. The global pandemic has no doubt changed the way we all work, communicate, and live. For example, I'm wearing shorts. But some of the most significant events are affecting tourism and education, which I know we'll discuss in depth during this event. But even to hold meetings like this one, we had to adapt. And I think we're stronger for it. We all have heard necessity is the mother of invention. At a distance living, as I like to call it, was a huge challenge, but it was also a tremendous opportunity. In many ways, the pandemic forced us to rethink the way we had done things for decades. For example, we all reach larger audiences now thanks to technology. Last week, I spoke at the Arizona Town Hall with my fellow consuls general from Nogales and Tijuana. Before, those in-person engagements meant wasted travel time and that only people near the event could attend it. For this encounter, we had participants from Arizona, California, Sonora, Baja California, and even further away. This week, it was the U.S.-Mexico Binational Bridges and Border Crossing Group, a much more complex event with hundreds of participants across all levels of government from both nations. Through adaptation, we will continue to expand and deepen our networks and make this region stronger long after this pandemic is part of our collective past. While we continue to advise U.S. citizens not to travel for non-essential purposes during this pandemic, it's promising to see tourist destinations reopening with new health and safety measures in place. And with vaccine rollouts in play, the long promise of better times ahead might better be called better times at hand. We must always protect our citizens, and I believe we can while simultaneously building out supply chains and fostering business ties, which is essential to the very people we are charged to protect. In fact, now is exactly the time to deepen North American economic integration. The pandemic made clear the risks of over-reliance on a single, far-flung source for essential products and materials, especially one so culturally different than that which we share here in the Megaregion. Both Mexico and the United States have an incredible opportunity to embrace collaboration and ensure the resiliency of our economies and of our people. Connections like what you have created with this council will help all of us to hasten economic recovery and shape our new normal. As neighbors, partners, and friends, we depend on each other and are definitivamente más fuerte juntos. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from the panel and seeing the results of the study. Enhorabuena.
Thank you so much, Consul General Roy, for your much valued service to our Megaregion and the information shared with us today. Now, Consul General Mendoza, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Jorge Mendoza Yescas, Consul General of Mexico in Phoenix. And I'm very honored to be joined today by Consul General Ken Roy and such an important group of political, business, and social leaders for the Arizona-Sonora Megaregion webinar. The history of the relationship between Mexico and Arizona is based on strong economic, geographical, cultural, and social ties. But this time isn't only about trade, investment, or goods. It's about people. People are the true promoters of the Arizona-Sonora Megaregion. This region is a great example of cross-border collaboration. It can be used as an example to improve the U.S.-Mexico relationship as a whole. There are 5 mega regions in our common border, but none of them works in such an integrated manner as Arizona and Sonora. We don't see the border as a challenge, but as an opportunity for development. For years, political leaders, members of the business community, and academia work to build such relationship and play a leading role as seen the impact of NAFTA. And now, 26 years later, for the ratification of the USMCA. The Arizona Sonora Megaregion has been developed through the implementation of key elements such as the strengthening of the long-standing ties between Arizona and Sonora, the region's strategic geographic location along with major trade corridors, and the capitalization of key industry clusters and institutions in the two states. According to data from the University of Arizona, trade between Mexico and Arizona has increased dramatically during the last 15 years. Mexico is Arizona's main trading partner and the largest market for exports of Arizona-made goods. Our cross-border trade and tourism is an important element of our economies, and we continue to work to improve the flow of goods and services, as well as our transportation infrastructure. In 2019, Arizona's bilateral trade with Mexico was $17.5 billion. Before the pandemic, more than 89,000 jobs in Arizona depended on trade with Mexico. But as I said before, our relationship is about much more than trade and investment. We share population and the commitment of providing a better future for our communities. Mexicans represent over 52% of the foreign-born population in Arizona, and there are 35 Mexican companies that employ over 8,000 people in the state. Between 2000 and 2017, the Hispanic population in Arizona grew 62%. By 2022, it is estimated that the purchasing power of the Hispanic population in the state will be about $57 billion. So every day, thousands of persons cross the Arizona-Sonora border to work, study, shop, or visit relatives. In that sense, we have to continue working to address regional challenges, to promote tourism, and to make Arizonians feel at home in Mexico and Mexicans feel at home in Arizona. I want to thank you for inviting me to participate here today. The Consul General of Mexico in Phoenix will continue to work to consolidate the Arizona-Sonora Megaregion as the most important economic region in North America. As a former Mexican Undersecretary for North America said to the Arizona legislature when he visited Arizona last year, our ties are strong, our history is intertwined, and our future is together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General Mendoza Yescas, for your much valued service to our mega region and the information shared with us today, along with Consul General Roy. Now let's move on to our next agenda item. It is my pleasure to introduce Arizona Congressman Jim Colby to provide an update on the border crossing card legislative effort. For 22 years, Congressman Colby served in the U.S. House of Representatives, elected for 11 consecutive terms from 1985 to 2007. He represented the 8th Congressional District, comprising the southeastern part of Arizona. Prior to coming to Congress, he served for 6 years in the Arizona State Senate. He has served numerous awards, but notable among them is the George Marshall Award for Distinguished Service from the U.S. Agency for International Development and the Order of the Aztecs, then President of Mexico. On to you, Congressman.
Hope you're hearing me. There we go.
We can hear you, but we need your image. We love to see you.
It says I can't. It says the host has to ask me. There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. Sorry. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, Councilman Luna, on this group. My years in Congress were such that I spent a lot of time representing a border district, spending a lot of time with issues dealing with Mexico and the United States. And so it's a real pleasure to be with with all of you here today and to see the progress that we've made in this relationship. I think it's especially timely right now as we begin to see that we're coming out of the era of COVID and hopefully see the light at the end of the tunnel and the prospects for resuming some more normal interaction, both in trade and commerce and culture between our two states and our two countries there. I'm particularly today, I wanted to talk to you about something, a particular provision in our immigration law that we've been working on to try to get a change to, that it would benefit both countries. As you may know, the 1987 Immigration Act created a provision called for a border crossing card that allows Mexican citizens who go to a consulate in Mexico and get a crossing card that allows them to come into the United States in a very limited zone. At that time that it was created, it was 25 miles. The concept of that is to facilitate travel into the United States and shopping and doing commerce inside in the border region there. And it was very successful. So successful, in fact, that while I was in Congress, we sought to extend that zone of travel, which, by the way, the law permitted to be done by executive order. We extended it in Arizona to 75 miles so that people could come as far as Tucson. In recent years, through the Maricopa Association of Government and other organizations in the State Chamber of Commerce and others, the logical question arose, why not the entire state? What is the reason for limiting it to 25 miles or 75 miles? Why shouldn't we include the entire state in it? And we agreed completely, but there's no reason. There is no, after all, there is no checkpoint at 75 miles that people are going to be stopped at. We also know that the people who have the border crossing cards are the most thoroughly vetted of anybody with a visa into the United States. The non-compliance numbers are less than 1%. So these are people who are coming across to do commerce and business in the United States, and then they return to Mexico. And so a study that was done by the University of Arizona showed that this would have an impact of approximately, this was in 2015, approximately $160 million a year of additional commerce in Arizona. It's considerably more than that at this point. We haven't done a restudy of that, so just can remember that it's a significant economic impact. And when we started to work on this, of course, in the last several years, we were in a period of rather difficult immigration issues, as we all know, between the United States and Mexico. It was a time when these issues were very intense in the Congress, and it was not an easy thing to accomplish. But we continued to work at it from one year to the next and one Congress to the next. And I'm happy to be able to report to everybody today that in this last appropriation bill, we included a provision in the report of the appropriation bill that said that we wanted the Customs and Border Patrol's CBP to extend it to the entire state of Arizona and to report to us how they were going to accomplish that. They've been a little busy, as you might imagine, right now with some other immigration issues. They haven't done that yet. And I think our goal is to make sure we stay on top of this through the organizations like this, the Maricopa Association of Government, Chambers of Commerce, the border communities, all these tourist associations, and in organizations on both sides of the border who will benefit from having this provision. And I look forward to the opportunity that it will create tremendous impact in Arizona and in Mexico, and further deepen the relationship between our two countries. Think of the possibility that people from Sonora can come up and go to a Suns game or a Coyotes game and shop in Phoenix, go to Grand Canyon, to Sedona, go up to the Indian reservations. All these things that they should be able to do easily as it is for them to travel as far as Tucson. So I look forward to this being implemented and seeing the significant impact that it will have. And I'd just like to close by saying thank you to the Maricopa Association of Governments who initiated this process, to Congressman Stanton, to Senator Sinema, to then Senators McSally, and all the Arizona delegation, which I would say was unanimously behind this change in this provision. So it's because of that unanimity of our delegation and of our community that we were able to get this change made. And I look forward to the implementation of it and the significant economic and cultural benefits it will have for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Colby. We look forward to learning more about the Customs and Border Protection Agency's response to the congressional recommendations, increasing economic opportunities for all of Arizona, and facilitating the experience of our Mexican visitors is very important for the Megaregion. For our next segment of this webinar, I am glad to introduce Elsa Beljean, Policy Planner of the Maricopa Association of Governments, who will be presenting on the effects of COVID-19 on the Arizona's tourism and trade with North America. Elsa, you may now address our audience.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Ari-Son Megaregion Council. My name is Elsa Beljean, member of the Policy and Government Relations team at the Maricopa Association of Governments. Taking informed decisions under disrupted environments. Can you hear me? Yes? Taking informed decisions under disrupted environment has been critical to Arizona's and Sonora's prosperity. So I congratulate all of you here today during our first ever annual event of the Council. As many of you know, our team has produced a white paper on the effects of COVID-19, about the effects of COVID-19 on Arizona's tourism and trade with North America. Our goal is to provide relevant information to elected officials and policymakers about Arizona's economic relations with its largest partners, Mexico and Canada. The findings of this white paper show that in 2020, there was an overall contraction in tourism and trade between Arizona and these two countries. But the good news is that even though these sectors have been largely hit, they are also the ones that hold the key to much needed employment opportunities, economic growth, and the ones to help Arizonans provide their households with affordable goods and services. Keeping laser focused on finding new opportunities to collaborate in the Arizona-Sonora Megaregion can generate mutual relief to your local communities. Next slide. The stay-at-home orders and social distancing measures aiming to slow the spread of COVID-19 in Arizona and across the globe unfortunately brought leisure and business travel as well as gathering in public places to a sudden stop since mid-March 2020. Now, a year later, our white paper examines how our economies and communities are still negatively affected from the current travel restrictions, most notably the land border crossing with Mexico. Among the tourism-related economic indicators observed, it is important to mention that the gross sales across the different sectors in Arizona were drastically lower than in 2020 than in 2019. Yet, surprisingly, the gross sales in the retail sector increased by 6.3%. Nevertheless, other state sectors were not as lucky. The entertainment sector decreased by 51%, and the restaurant and bar sector decreased by nearly 16%, following by the lodging sector decrease of 32%. Let's talk more about that. In the Phoenix-Mesa-Chandler metropolitan statistical area, the hotel and motel sector experienced a devastating 81% drop in the year-over-year sales in April 2020, partially recovering to reach a 53% year-over-year decrease in January. Arizona's hotel and motel occupancy rates for the fourth quarter of 2020 indicated that one of the most affected areas was the Metro Tucson area, which experienced a 32.6% drop in occupancy. This was closely followed by the Phoenix metro region with 29.2%. Overall, the state of Arizona experienced a 24% decrease in this period. This accumulated loss in revenue led to mass layoffs that have not been able to fully recover today. The job losses from February 2020 to January 2021 showed that leisure and hospitality sector was by far the hardest hit during this period, decreasing 49% compared to the same period in 19. In contrast, other sectors suffer fewer job losses, and in the case of trade, transportation, and utilities, it gained 7,500 jobs. Next slide. Canada, as I mentioned, our land borders have been closed to non-essential traffic for more than a year now. Disrupted our local economies, especially the tourism industry in southern Arizona, as shown at the previous slide. However, air travel is still open under specific conditions. Phoenix Sky Harbor International, the largest airport in the state, reported that during 2020, domestic passenger arrivals decreased 52% and international passenger arrivals by 63%. Our white paper explores the reason of these reductions, focusing on Canada and Mexico because they represent the larger visitor markets to our state. The Canadian government's travel advisories against non-essential travel had remained in place throughout the winter of 2020, resulting in a 90% contraction in Canadian tourists and snowbirds in Arizona. International passenger flights are only allowed to land in 4 of the airports in Canada: Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. And those who do travel to the US are required to self-isolate for 14 days upon their return. The good news is that on September 18, 2020, 4 different Canadian insurance companies announced that they will offer medical insurance, Canadian insurance for those traveling to the US, which was a major concern for potential visitors to our region. Next slide. Now let's talk about Mexico. Mexican tourism preferred travel destination studies indicate that the US is the #1 destination of choice, only seconded by Canada. In 2019, Arizona hosted a record 4 million overnight visitors from Mexico, making this country by far the state's top international visitors market. The preferred location for those overnight was the Metro Phoenix area, followed by the Tucson metro area. Mexico accounted for 59% of the international visitation to Arizona in 2020. Pedestrian crossing, however, dropped by almost 45%. It is estimated in 2020 overnight travel from Mexico fell 61%. This means that for 4 million visits that we used to have in the year 2019, there were only 1 million during 2020. The Arizona Office of Tourism estimates that Mexican visitors bring up approximately the expenditure of 1.37 billion in a year. However, last year, it had a staggering decrease of 45%, or 613 million. Next slide. Now let's talk about trade. Nationally, Canada and Mexico together brought 1/3 of all US goods exported in 2019 by the state of Arizona. Exporting businesses in our region have found that North America, it's a reliable and profitable market. Arizona's main export market destination is Mexico, as you can see on this graph. Mexico is on blue, Canada it's in yellow, and green we have China. So you can see the staggering difference between the trade that we have with North America compared to our third partner. Arizona's, and as you can see there, we have a comparison for the last 3 years, and notably the decrease happened between Mexico and Arizona, not more likely than Canada and China. Next slide. So just to wrap it up and give you a preview of what we found in this white paper. And just to finish that, in Mexican imports in 2020 were 15.6 billion, and the exports were 9.98 billion. Canadian imports, 2.2, Canadian exports, 1.9 billion. Arizona's trade with Canada was definitely a key for our economy, as well as the trade that we have for Mexico. And we encourage you to learn more at our white paper that will be shared with you today via email after our event is done. So thank you, and I give back the floor to our council member, Luna. Have a good day.
Thank you, Elsa. The data shared was insightful and provided a wide perspectives on the effects of COVID-19 on the Arizona tourism and trade with Canada and Mexico. Now we have the honor of introducing Secretary of the Economy of the state of Sonora, Jorge Vidal Ahumada. He's an attorney, and prior to his position, he was a delegate in Sonora of the National Works and Public Service Bank. He is also partner and director of Corporate TV of Sonora, which operates TV Azteca in Hermosillo. Secretary Vidal will be presenting information about the effects of COVID-19 on Sonora's economy. Welcome, Secretary Vidal, and now you have the floor. Secretary, your mic is muted.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you so much, Secretary.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invitation. Let me talk a little bit about the relationship between Sonora and Arizona. As somebody mentioned before, Mexico and Arizona is the main trading partner and is the largest export market. With NAFTA, Arizona export to Mexico grows about 375%, like somebody said about it. And also, in the tourism field, I will say it represents 28% of the total visitors to Sonora. It represents Arizona. From 2019 to 2020, the tourist influx decreased a lot, almost 55%. The domestic tourism also decreased 52%, and the foreign tourism decreased 63%. So the impact has been really, really bad. But let me tell you about what's going on with Sonora in the pandemic season, I will say. I will say that the GDP was decreased about 14% drop, more or less. And the jobs that we lost, well, I'm talking about 39,000 jobs lost from March to August on the 2020. But due to measures that the government implement with the help of the private sector, and we make a plan, I will say, and successfully now we're coming through. Now, Sonora, I will say, is the first national place in economic reactivation, according to IMCO, which is a private institute from Mexico City. The economic activity of the state also increased 9.5% in the third quarter of 2020, which is compared to the previous period that we have it. And this is according of INEGI, the other national institute. And Sonora is the state with the highest growth in employment in January, in February of this year. It increased 3.9%, and almost the number that jobs had been created was about 23,500 in January and February, like I said. And also, fortunately, the working poverty decreased in the state from 40% to 29%. And facts like the one I'm talking has been very interesting, because the investment in Sonora still has been increasing a lot. Next, that one. No, next one, please. That one, thank you. And as an example, let me give you, let me show some of the companies that has been arriving to Sonora. Oh, they have a organic growth. And first, I'll talk about Constellation Brand. This beer plant, which is in the south of the state, is in Obregón. Up to now, they have made about $1.7 billion. and is generating about 3,000 jobs in construction and about 1,000 new jobs in operation. And still they're working. And I think that they will keep on doing this for the next year, I will say, because they will increase from 3 million electrolytes to about 15 million. So it is very interesting, this kind of investment, because of they are doing some harvesting to elaborate the beer with the agriculture field. So this is very interesting also from that point of view. Also, for us is very important. Up to now, they have investment about $1.6 billion, and the expansion and the production, the line of the assembly of the Ford Bronco Sport, which has been made in Hermosillo. Also, in addition to that, all the companies Tier 1 and Tier 2 also invest more than $400 million. I'm talking about Magna, Lear, Martin Rea. In the aerospace industry, also, we have been receiving a lot of investment. The last one was about AT Engine, which is a company from Germany and with a Mexican capital. And they invest about $200 million, and they will generate about 400 new jobs. This construction has been doing for the General Electric plants on the engines of the planes. The new type, the LEAP, they call it, is the name they call it. So it's very interesting, this kind of investment we have it. In the tourism field, also, the investment has been doing in the Encanto Towers, which is in Rocky Point. That means that the construction of 3 towers with more than 300 condominiums with investment of almost $100 million. In the mining sector, which I will say with work so close with Arizona, now the investment of the discovery of the lithium is very interesting, because this company from Australia and from China, they have been investment about $400 million. And right now they're moving all their construction. They will start to construct, I will say, in the next 3 months, the plant and everything in a small town in the mountains of Sonora. It's Bacadé, which is the name. Also, the mine in Cananea, the Grupo Mexico, they're making investment in the zinc, which will be a new product for that investors. Also, the other one, the gold, the mining of gold, there is in Caborca from Grupo Balleres. They're making investment of $1 billion right now. And with the price of the mining, with the price of the mining products, has been opened and researched a lot of new investments in all the Canadian mining that we have right now in all the territory of Sonora. Also, the other investment that we're receiving in this difficult part, I will say, there's a lot of them. For example, BD Medical, they already are growing for the second time with an investment of almost $20 million. There's another small aerospace company, their ATS Creation. They just finished it with a big investment. Also, we announced about 2-3 days ago about Amazon, who is arriving to Sonora, to Hermosillo. So this plant will be on Hermosillo, and is the number 4 in Mexico. So it's very interesting to us. I think they will start moving items and everything for the third of this year. The other one who is coming to Hermosillo and will be announced in the next days will be Black & Decker, which is a very important company that you know very well, tools and electronics. They'll make an investment of almost $60 million, and it will create about 3,000 new jobs. And the other one, the T connectivity plan, data, which they just started an investment also. The other one we bring to Sonora is Lazy Boy, who is in Salurio, Colorado. It's a huge investment that is right now there. There's another one, Sky Bridge. By the way, I visited Sky Bridge yesterday. I'm right now in Phoenix, and I visited the Sky Bridge in Phoenix yesterday. And this same model, they wanted to make it in Ciudad Obregón also. They already are buying the land to develop this kind of projects. Also, there's a movement from the investors in China to the border. And one example of that, I was talking the other day with the consul, with Roy. And the first example we're having right now is in a carrier, the plant who is in Navojoa, Sonora. They brought all the systems to Mexico. And it's very, very interesting because this will create about 1,000 new jobs. So it's very interesting to us.
The Secretary, I hate to cut you off. You've got a lot of important information, but we have to move the panel along. So do you want to make some final comments before?
Yes, very fast. Yes, I just want to tell you that we keep on doing on the economic field, all the relationship between Arizona and Sonora. And I'm talking about Sky Bridge, Nikola Motors, and also Lucid Motors. So thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm so glad to keep on talking about this later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretary Vidal Ahumada. We're very pleased that you offered this wonderful presentation about the effects of the pandemic on the Sonora economy. Quality and detailed data provided by you and ELSA are useful tools for the members of the Ari-Son Megaregion Council. Our next is the panel discussion led by elected officials. Our elected officials will be sharing their perspectives from the front lines facing this pandemic and serving their communities. Let me first introduce you to our co-moderators for this panel. Kevin O'Shea, Senior Vice President of International Trade of the Arizona Commerce Authority. Kevin manages export assistance programs for the Arizona companies and oversees the Arizona Commerce Authority's trade office, located in Mexico City, Chihuahua, and Guanajuato. He will be co-moderating our panel with Saturnino Campoes Ramos, Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Hermosillo chapter of the Mexican National Chamber of Transportation Industry, also known as Canacintra. Mr. Campoy also serves on the Sonora State Mining Council and is the third-generation business owner of LIM de Mexico, a manufacturing company of heat transfer solution. He also oversees 5 international joint ventures in Sonora, one of them focusing on energy savings. Mr. Campoes Ramos, welcome, and now you have the floor.
Thank you, Council Member Luna. It's a pleasure to join this event on behalf of the many industries that we represent in Canacintra, Hermosillo. I look forward to engaging on an insightful discussion on COVID-19 effects on the Megaregion and opportunities of recovery. With our panelists and my co-moderator, Kevin O'Shea, today. Kevin, would you like to introduce some of our panelists?
Of course, Saturnino, I'm delighted to do so. Please welcome our most distinguished panelists, including the Mayor of the City of Phoenix, Kate Gallego. Mayor Gallego leads the fifth largest city in the United States of America. She graduated from Harvard University and earned an MBA from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. Among her many leadership roles, she is the chair of the Maricopa Association of Governments Transportation Policy Committee. Welcome, Mayor Gallego. Also with us today is County Supervisor Sharon Bronson, chair of the Pima County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Bronson represents District 3 that comprises 7,403 square miles of the west side of Pima County and shares more than 130 miles of international border with Mexico. She currently serves on the Chairman's Circle for Sun Corridor, Inc. She's a board member of Visit Tucson and serves as the Pima County representative to the Arizona Border Counties Coalition. Thank you, Mayor Gallego and Supervisor Bronson, for honoring us by being here today. Santronino, would you like to introduce our other panelists?
Sure, Kevin. Also joining our panel is Mayor of the City of Hermosillo, Celida Lopez Cárdenas. Mayor Lopez Cárdenas is a lawyer. She holds a master's degree in political science and a master in business administration. Prior to her position, she represented the 2nd Congressional District of Sonora, comprising Puerto Peñasco, San Luis Rio Colorado, and Sonorita. We also have the Director of Economic Development of the City of San Luis Rio Colorado, Mario Guevara, in representation of Mayor, Santos Gonzalez Yescas, who was called away to address a city emergency, and send his regards to all the panelists and look forward to meeting them on the next Ari-Son Megaregion Council meeting. Welcome, Director Guevara. Thank you, Mayor Lopez Cárdenas and Director Guevara, for joining this extraordinary panel of elected officials of the Ari-Son Megaregion Council.
Thank you, Saturnino. Distinguished panelists, I will have 2 questions for you. And then following those 2 questions, my distinguished co-moderator, Saturnino, will have 2 questions for you. My first question, and we'll start with Mayor Gallego. My first question is, how would you describe how the COVID-19 pandemic affected Arizona-Sonora trade, specifically with respect to your jurisdiction?
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to my distinguished fellow panelists. It's so important that we have this conversation now. I am also excited that online we are joined by several of my fellow board members of the Maricopa Association of Government, including Mayor Barney, Mayor Dickey, Mayor Ortega, and our partners at the Mesa level, Jennifer Duff and David Luna, as well as Maricopa County Board of Supervisors Chairman Sellers. It really shows how much the elected officials in this region care about our strength and know that it is essential to the future of our mega region. We come into this with great relationships, and that has made it easier to get through. For us in the city of Phoenix, we have a strong sister city and economic relationship with Hermosillo in Mexico, and we have great regional collaborators and partners, including our friends at the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, our local business councils, great relationships with our council office, and economic partners, as well as educational partners such as Thunderbird, who have helped us get through it. But it has been difficult. We think back to just over a year ago when all of a sudden cross-border trade and traffic basically stopped. And it's been a tough year for our exporters. You saw this in the data presented earlier, but the strength of the US dollar relative to the Mexican peso made our products from the American side very expensive for Mexicans. And I think that did contribute to some of those, unfortunately, declines in trade that we saw. We were very optimistic about the economic benefits of USMCA, and I don't know that we got the full impact because of what was happening with COVID. But we have had some great bright spots. One for us in the city of Phoenix was during the middle of COVID, really the height of it, we were able to vote unanimously at the city council level for a partnership with the Arizona Fresh Food Innovation Center in campus, which is a 150-acre innovation hub that'll have a wholesale produce market, educational facilities, a park, an agri-food research center, a startup incubator, and more. One of the downsides of COVID is with an event focused on food, you usually would have a kickoff event with great food. And unfortunately, we all just sat in these same places as we are right now and voted via online. But we're hoping to be able to get together in person and really celebrate that collaboration. We've also had wonderful partnerships with the council office, including one that is exciting to me as an MBA, which was working with Thunderbird and the Mexican Consul Office to support some of our female entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things. So there's been great collaboration, but from areas from trade to tourism, it's not been our easiest time.
I understand. Thank you very much for your comments, Mayor Gallego. Supervisor Bronson, please.
Thank you, and thank you for hosting this. It's very informative, and as we look at how the COVID pandemic has affected us, we've seen a decrease in sales of 17% from the restaurant La Cocina in Nogales, Arizona. We have very few, and they've lost employees. 75. Additionally, owners cannot get products they need from Mexico as supply chains are disrupted. Only 1.1 million vehicles cross northbound into Arizona from Mexico, a 51% decrease from the very same time in 2019. This has affected hospitality in Tucson. Hotel occupancy is down 33%, average daily rate is down 16%, and revenue per available room is down 43% from the prior year. As you can see, Mexican tourists visiting Arizona typically amount to about 4 million. Now we only have 2.1 million. That's 63% fewer. The decline has affected our communities, considering that an average of $840 is spent for each trip. How has this affected our hospitality industry? Well, we lost some of our best restaurants in Tucson. Cafe Poca Cosa was forced to close, as was Elvira's in Tucson, and Downtown Kitchen. We also lost Old Tucson, a major tourist attraction for decades, again, because of fewer visitors from Mexico. So our economy, employment, and cultural loss is something we feel now as a result of the pandemic. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you for your remarks, Supervisor Bronson. Mayor Lopez, are you with us?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Esta ha sido una experiencia muy importante para la humanidad. En Hermosillo hemos vivido una situación muy complicada. Esta ciudad es la tercera ciudad más endeudada del país, de todo México. Sin dinero ha sido mucho más difícil hacerle frente. Sin embargo, tuvimos que hacer modificaciones presupuestales y hemos venido haciéndole frente a esta situación. ¿Cómo afectó el comercio? Muchísimas familias de Hermosillo, por poner un ejemplo, dependen del comercio de tianguis, que son vendedores ambulantes. Estamos hablando de miles y miles de familias que han dejado de ir a comprar mercancía a Estados Unidos y que por lo tanto tienen severos problemas económicos. Estamos hablando de un segmento enorme, son más de 8,000 familias que viven y dependen del comercio directo y van a Arizona a comprar sus mercancías. ¿Cómo nos afecta en esta relación? Evidentemente el turismo. Dependemos también en Hermosillo de visitas y también de hermosillenses que viajan a Estados Unidos. El censo que se ha realizado de la industria restaurantera, básicamente por llamar algún dato, es fundamental para nosotros decir que la pandemia nos ha sometido a una situación financiera difícil. Con mucha frecuencia, por no decir que todos los días, estoy en los barrios, en la ciudad, caminando, platicando con los vecinos, llevando los servicios públicos, y es impresionante ver la crisis económica. Mucha gente que acudía a Estados Unidos a comprar mercancías y productos no lo ha podido hacer. Por otro lado, la Cámara de Comercio, Servicios y Turismo en Hermosillo nos ha reportado que aumentaron sus ventas en un 20% debido a que la gente de Hermosillo ya no puede ir a comprar estas mercancías por el cierre de la frontera. Básicamente, esto ha sido lo más doloroso, el que se impidan los viajes que se han considerado no esenciales y que nuestras fronteras estén físicamente ahora impidiéndonos el libre tránsito binacional. Hermosillo, Phoenix, son ciudades hermanas. Hoy más que nunca creo debemos de fortalecernos con estrategias que fortalezcan este comercio vital para ambas ciudades. Gracias a la Megaregión por esta invitación.
Muchas gracias, Mayor López. Y ahora, Director Guevara.
Muy buenas tardes. A nombre del alcalde Santos González, les damos las gracias por la invitación a esta sesión tan importante para toda la región Sonora, Arizona. El alcalde ha estado haciendo esfuerzos muy importantes en relación al tema de la pandemia y todos los efectos que ha tenido por lo que estamos viviendo, ¿no? Efectos económicos muy importantes, efectos en el impacto social hacia la comunidad que también ha perjudicado, pero sobre todo tratando de encaminar los esfuerzos del gobierno municipal en coordinación con los esfuerzos del gobierno del estado para el efecto de poder minar en la medida de lo posible los efectos negativos que ha tenido este problema. El alcalde ha trabajado muy fuerte con un acercamiento con la comunidad, con la población en general, para el efecto de poder apoyar a la población en cuestión de alimentación, en cuestión de económica, en la cuestión de la reactivación de algunas empresas no esenciales que tuvieron o se vieron en necesidad de poder cerrar operaciones por un periodo para el efecto de poder lograr minar el problema de la pandemia. En ese sentido, el alcalde ha hecho un acercamiento y una coordinación muy estrecha con los organismos empresariales como la CANAC, como Canacintra, como Mujeres Empresarias, con algunos colegios de profesionistas como los médicos, etcétera, porque es importante tener esa colaboración de la sociedad civil para que todos vayamos juntos en la solución de los problemas que nos ha generado el tema de la pandemia. Afortunadamente se ha logrado tener esa coordinación y hemos logrado finalmente que la población poco a poco haya ido disminuyendo los contagios. Como ustedes saben, al inicio de todo este problema, entre febrero y marzo del 2020, San Luis Río Colorado era el municipio donde más casos estaba presentando en el estado de Sonora. Eso alertó desde luego a las instancias estatales y federales y por supuesto a la cuestión municipal, y lo que se hizo aquí fue precisamente tomar acciones encaminadas a hacer conciencia en la población, hacer una campaña fuerte de la necesidad de la comunidad de reducir la movilidad y desde luego, como ya lo mencioné, la importancia de que aquellas empresas o negocios no esenciales tuvieran que suspender sus actividades para el efecto de lograr tener un impacto a la baja sobre los contagios. El tiempo finalmente demostró que fue una estrategia que funcionó. A la fecha, San Luis Río Colorado es uno de los municipios y ya tiene algunos meses así que sus contagios, sus casos incluso hasta de muertes han ido a la baja y es uno de los municipios que menos contagios presenta. Adicional a eso, yo sí quisiera mencionar que el caso particular de San Luis, su ubicación geográfica en la cual nos encontramos, tenemos dos entradas por el lado de Baja California, una por la carretera federal y otra por el área rural. Tenemos otra entrada desde el estado de Sonora que conecta con San Luis por la carretera federal y por el lado sur viniendo de Puerto Peñasco. Adicional a esto, le agregamos la entrada norte que es con San Luis, Arizona, en el cruce que tenemos aquí a 100 metros, y eso nos ubica en un municipio muy difícil, digamos, de controlar el ingreso o el paso de los turistas o el ingreso de las mismas gentes que viven aquí en San Luis que venían de otras partes. Pero finalmente lo que conseguimos nosotros con esto fue implementar acciones de prevención, una campaña muy fuerte, muy intensa en esos puntos precisamente donde la gente llega a San Luis Río Colorado y al final, bueno, funcionó. Funcionó de tal forma de que la población hizo conciencia, aceptó muy bien las medidas de prevención que se establecieron, la campaña que implementó el ayuntamiento en coordinación con el gobierno del estado a través del comité de salud que también se instaló aquí en San Luis, bueno, también funcionó. Y bueno, lo último que se ha estado trabajando fuerte es en relación al uso del cubrebocas, al lavado de manos de manera permanente y a mantener la distancia. Y de manera gradual y controlada, con un aforo mínimo en algunos sectores, se ha estado activando algunas empresas, ¿no? Sí están cerradas definitivamente las actividades para el tema de los casinos, están cerradas las actividades para el tema de los centros de diversión como los bares, discotecas, etcétera. Y en el tema de los restaurantes se ha estado aperturando de manera gradual, pero con aforos reducidos y con controles de salud muy estrictos, en los cuales el mismo sector ha participado de manera muy activa y que han de alguna manera colaborado también para que los casos hayan disminuido. En ese sentido, es lo que podemos decir que hemos hecho aquí en San Luis, Colorado.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Director.
Gracias a ustedes.
My second question to the panel, and we'll begin with Mayor Lopez, followed by Supervisor Bronson, followed by Director Guevara, and followed by Mayor Gallego. The second question, what was the biggest challenge for you during this pandemic, and what measures were implemented to solve them? Mayor Lopez.
Gracias. El 1 de junio me reuní en un webinar con el Mayor Kate Gallego para preguntarle qué estaba haciendo para controlar a la gente y que no estuviera en la calle. Cómo estaban logrando convocar a la ciudadanía para que no fuera a lugares públicos. Este fue el más grande desafío. Cuando se nos responsabiliza a los municipios, a nosotros contener la movilidad de la ciudadanía. En junio, cuando tuvimos la primera ola de contagios, nosotros implementamos una estrategia. Cerramos toda la ciudad durante un mes a las 6 de la tarde, algo que jamás había existido. Tuvimos que implementar una estrategia para poder entregar códigos QR para transitar por la ciudad después de las 6, justificando que se fuera a trabajar a algún hospital, que fuera una actividad esencial. Otorgamos 38,945 códigos QR. Había filtros de la Policía Municipal donde se estaban entregando estos códigos QR, pero al mismo tiempo tuvimos que contener la furia, el desencanto y el reclamo de la ciudadanía que evidentemente estaba en desacuerdo con estas medidas de restricción. Aprendimos a llevar a las colonias jornadas de prevención, de sanitización, de limpieza de espacios públicos, entregamos oxímetros para ayudar a la comunidad a aprender a detectar el problema a tiempo. Se implementó un proyecto presupuestal donde nos costó muchísimo trabajo, pero finalmente se destinaron casi 10 millones de pesos para poder otorgarle a la comunidad la posibilidad de tener acceso a pruebas rápidas y pruebas PCR. 8,550 pruebas. El desafío económico fue enorme. El que la gente estuviera en confinamiento nos obligó a entregar apoyo alimenticio. Entregamos más de 40,000 apoyos alimenticios. Y algo que es muy destacable en esta ciudad es que solamente en esta ciudad, en todo México, la sociedad organizada logró recaudar 102 millones de pesos. Hermosillo, ¿cómo vamos? Formó el Fondo Solidario. Empresarios estuvieron comprando pruebas, entregando alimentos, dando apoyos económicos, abarrotes, supermercados, agricultores donando alimento. El reto más grande era asegurarnos que la gente tuviera alimento, aunque no tuviera trabajo. Nosotros, como gobiernos muy afectados financieramente, tenemos poco margen de maniobra para destinar recursos a este tipo de gastos que no estaban considerados. Este año 2021 se van a invertir un poco más de 5 millones de pesos en el primer semestre del año para poder llevar a cabo pruebas aleatorias de antígeno, ahora sobre todo en Semana Santa. El reto más grande para mí como presidenta municipal, por supuesto, es reconocer que somos una de las ciudades capitales con más contagios en el país. Encabezamos la lista, 32,538 contagios, 1,975 defunciones, con una tasa de letalidad del 6%. Somos una de las ciudades que encabeza los primeros lugares en contagios. Comparados con muchas otras ciudades, aquí en Hermosillo tenemos una tasa de letalidad menor. Es verdad, hemos tenido más contagios, pero también menos defunciones comparados con habitantes mayores a 100,000 habitantes. Para nosotros ha sido una gran experiencia lograr conjugar el esfuerzo para coordinarnos con el gobierno del estado. Hemos aprendido a ser solidarios y estamos hoy actualmente integrados en una mesa que se llama Monitor COVID, donde están líderes empresariales, representantes de cámaras, están las autoridades del sector salud, diferentes secretarios de gabinete y, por supuesto, autoridades municipales, donde todos juntos estamos tomando decisiones para poder hacerle frente a la pandemia. Yo quiero agradecerle a todos ustedes por la oportunidad de escucharme. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Mayor. Supervisor Bronson, please. Do we have Supervisor Bronson with us?
I have unmuted and stopped and have my video on, but I am not seeing myself on the screen yet.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. And again, thank you everybody for hosting this. I think the biggest challenge, we've had several challenges over this pandemic. Rent and utilities, for instance. There are currently about 4,300 outstanding eviction orders in Pima County dating back to last March. The CDC's eviction moratorium, as you all know, expires later this month on March 31st. To help with this, the Board of Supervisors recently designated $2 million to support legal services of residents facing eviction resulting from the pandemic and the resulting financial hardship. Many residents are behind on their bills because of the pandemic. For example, Tucson Water Department normally has $3 million in delinquent bills in a given year. Now it is 3 times that, or $9 million. So the Pima County Board of Supervisors just approved $8 million for rent and utility assistance, and tenants impacted by COVID-19 can receive up to 15 months of rent and utilities, 12 months in arrears and 3 months in advance. Another problem we face is an unemployment and food insecurity. What we have done, what we know is that unemployment and food insecurity has especially hit Hispanic and low-income households the hardest. Although 22% of non-Hispanic households lost work in Arizona, a staggering amount, 59% of Hispanic households lost work despite making up about 30% of the state population. Additionally, about half of those households who lost jobs made less than $25,000 in annual income. So what we have done in Pima County to centralize resources to assist in economic security and employment assistance, we have combined Community and Workforce Development Department, additionally launching something called PimaWorks.com, where workforce specialists offer guidance to individuals looking for job leads, unemployment insurance benefits, and other community services. Again, we've seen our rural communities like Ajo and Western Pima County having difficulty with food security. And we worked with a group called Ajo Center for Sustainable Agriculture to bring additional food to those individuals who needed them in Ajo. And again, if you look at my district, it includes the Tohono O'odham Nation. Pima County has recorded some of the first COVID deaths in the state of Arizona. 2 local members of the Pasquayaqui tribe died shortly after the epidemic was declared, and our tribal nations are still disproportionately affected by this pandemic. Across the state, Native Americans make up 5% of our population, but if we look at the Tohono O'odham Nation, we see that they account for 11% of the state's recorded deaths. And we want to send kudos to the nation because they stepped up to fight COVID-19. In October, the nation gave $2 million to Arizona State University and the University of Arizona for COVID-19 research. And fortunately now the COVID vaccine is becoming more accessible to the southern nations in Pima County, and the Tohono O'odham Nation Healthcare Program has made vaccinations available for all adult tribal members 18 years or older, regardless of employment status or medical diagnosis. And again, I want to give a shout out to them because they've been our good partners and they deserve the recognition. And with that, I will conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Supervisor Bronson. Mayor Gallego, your response, please.
Wonderful, thank you. And I do want to recognize Chair Bronson. She has been fighting so hard for vaccine access for her county, and some other branches of government haven't always made it easy for her. For us, my answer to this question would be access to testing and vaccinations. It's been such a fight. In April, I requested vaccination support from the federal government. At that time, they said we did not, I'm sorry, I requested testing support from the federal government in April of 2020. And at that time, they said COVID was not so severe in Arizona that we needed it. Come summer, we were #1 in the world per capita. Really appreciated the opportunity to talk to my fellow mayors, including Mayor Lopez. It's so good to see you again, and we appreciated sharing ideas about what was happening. But it was very difficult when people in our community had to wait a month to get a test and sometimes in line for an entire day. So really, I tried to work with my fellow elected officials to get the testing supplies we needed. We continue to need testing supplies at the same time we are moving forward with vaccinations. About 17% of our state is fully vaccinated. In my community, it is following access to high-speed internet and cars. So some of the wealthier folks in our community are doing quite well, but we have individuals who don't have internet at home or who aren't driving, and it's been a struggle. We're trying to do great partnerships to be able to get vaccines in arms, including with nonprofits like Adelante Health and Equality Health, as well as partnerships with the county and pretty much any health provider who's interested. We did a great one recently with Walgreens, but we have a long way to go in that area. And I'm very nervous right now as Arizona has removed the requirement to wear masks in our community. To me, it seems premature. I've been watching what's happening in Texas. Texas removed their mask requirement before we did. And my fellow capital city of Austin saw many large events cancel, many tourism events and declines because of concern about the removal of the mask policy. So it's a difficult time still in our communities, but we're resilient and we'll find some way. We'll keep fighting to keep everyone safe and to get through this. I believe that by taking public health seriously, we are investing in our economic future together.
Thank you for your comments, Mayor. Director Guevara.
Sí, uno de los grandes desafíos que enfrentamos es precisamente lo que mencionaba hace unos momentos, de lograr que las personas entendieran la gravedad del asunto sin que se generara un caos. Cuando se logramos ir poco a poco minando los contagios. Aquí es importante mencionar que el ayuntamiento implementó medidas adicionales que llevaron a que la población también participara, como fue la sanitización permanente de espacios públicos concurridos por la población. Logramos también que a través del gobierno federal y del gobierno del estado se bajaran recursos para apoyar a las MIPYMES cuando estaban los contagios en su mayor elevación, y al conseguir esos recursos fue precisamente para mantener las operaciones de las empresas y evitar que se dieran el tema de los desempleos. También es importante mencionar que el alcalde repartió alrededor de unas 40,000 despensas en la población más vulnerable, y se otorgaron apoyos económicos a todas aquellas personas que dejaron de trabajar precisamente por la pandemia. Además de otras acciones que se implementaron que finalmente vinieron a beneficiar el tema de las prevenciones.
Muchas gracias. Mi amigo Saturnino, the panel is yours.
Thank you, Kevin. One more question. We will start with Mayor Gallego. How do you think the government and industry can work together to bring both of regions forward?
Thank you. This is an incredibly important conversation, and the fact that we're here today gives me great confidence that we will be able to do it. I think the more we can have consistent policies across our region, the better. The more connectivity we have, the better. I'm pleased to work with many of my fellow mayors and Chairman Sellers to try to invest in our transportation infrastructure to have more connectivity. This goes a little bit beyond this particular mega region, but we've also been very excited to see how many investments there's been in new international flights between Mexico and Phoenix Sky Harbor, even during COVID-19. The fact that the private sector is seeing the value in that connectivity during COVID-19 should give us real enthusiasm about what can go forward. So both American Airlines and Southwest Airlines added flights between Mexico and Phoenix Sky Harbor again during the pandemic. The most recent being Southwest adding Cancun just this month in March. We like to joke that we hired Texas Senator Cruz to make sure everyone in the country of the United States is thinking about Cancun, because he did a much publicized trip there during some events happening in his home state of Texas. But regardless, that connectivity does make it easier for both private sector and government collaboration to continue. I suspect these Zoom webinars are very much a part of our future. And as Council Roy said, they have made it much easier to do this type of collaboration, but I assume we all miss being together. And we're really looking forward again to the days where we can all be physically together. To me, checking in regularly online is very, very important, but it can't, there's something about being in person where you may have a chance conversation, realize something you didn't know you had in common, or people may come together in ways that you didn't expect. And so I am looking forward to all of us getting back together again in person, but I do hope this type of online collaboration will continue, because it's made it so easy to see people with whom we ought to work together even more closely.
Thank you very much, Mayor Gallego, for your remarks. Alcaldesa Célida López, saludos. ¿Qué nos puede comentar al respecto?
Gracias. Bueno, tengo que felicitarlos. Es un orgullo para nosotros estar con un vecino que en junio termina su vacunación. Afortunadamente, eso es una maravilla. Y ahí nuestros trabajos, nuestra industria, tanto el turismo como todos los demás sectores económicos, tienen esta gran esperanza también en México. Sin embargo, nosotros no tenemos esa expectativa. Incluso pensamos que pudiera llegar diciembre y todavía no esté vacunada la población Y esto es algo que nos preocupa muchísimo. Nosotros desafortunadamente no tenemos certeza de cuándo podría estar vacunada toda la población. Y por lo tanto creo que si queremos hablar de una propuesta real para que la megaregión trabaje de manera conjunta, tenemos que lograr que el vecino de Arizona, Sonora, pueda ser también el primer estado vacunado en el norte del país. Y me parece que los esfuerzos deben ser ahí. No sé si es prudente, no sé si es correcto, pero sí sé que es mi deber como presidenta municipal de Hermosillo solicitar su apoyo para que en la medida de lo posible como ciudades hermanas, Phoenix nos pueda ayudar a adquirir vacunas, que el municipio pueda tener la posibilidad de comprarlas, de hacer un esfuerzo económico para adquirirlas. De lo contrario, nuestros niños, nuestros jóvenes seguirán en sus casas, muchos sin acceso a internet, muchos sin clases, generando graves problemas de violencia familiar. Sé que estamos aquí para hablar de turismo y economía, pero es mi deber moral pedirle su apoyo, suplicar su apoyo. Y sé que como mujer, como mayor de Phoenix, en Gallego podré encontrar la solidaridad y la humanidad para que pueda apoyarnos. Estamos nosotros en México y nuestra situación económica y financiera y nuestra situación de salud es muy distinta a la de ustedes. Para nosotros con dificultad estamos hablando de poder empezar a vacunar a los adultos mayores. No nos han dado vacunas para Hermosillo. Han llegado pocas y las han destinado a otros municipios más pequeños, a pesar de ser la ciudad que ha concentrado el mayor número de casos y de defunciones. No entiendo la razón, sin embargo, el argumento es que tienen que llegar las 100,000 vacunas para poder atender a todos los adultos mayores. Yo pensaría que si podemos vacunar a 1 o a 2 adultos mayores sería un buen inicio. De tal forma que creo que después podemos hablar de políticas, de acuerdos para fortalecer el turismo. Por lo pronto necesitamos, en un grito de auxilio, la ayuda de ustedes para vacunarnos en Hermosillo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, alcaldesa, y somos testigos de lo que está mencionando. Totalmente. Gracias. Supervisor Bronson, what are your remarks about this question? Thank you.
Thank you. And again, we're looking at how government and industry can work together to bring both, or to help both of our regions forward. In Pima County, we share key industries between Arizona and Mexico, most importantly, aerospace and automotive. Coming together with leaders of these businesses may help us better understand barriers for industry growth and prosperity. There is already an opportunity to form greater partnerships with industry who may not be here yet. For instance, Pima County has become attractive to many industries who have supply chains in Asia. As the pandemic disrupted those supply chains, many companies are now looking to Northwest Mexico for operations and maintaining or growing jobs across the border in Pima County. Not only does this mean less supply chain disruption in events like the pandemic, but closer collaboration between engineers and manufacturers. And I want to again thank Mayor Gallego. Definitely we need closer collaboration. And I think that comes by us all working together. It is a mega region. And I think we are going to be seeing, as we are dealing with the pandemic and getting people vaccinated, we're going to be seeing a lot of Zoom webinar in our future, at least in our near future. Let's hope moving forward, we will be able to actually come together in person and have conversations. But at this point, I think we're going to be doing it virtually. And I would hope as we move forward that, again, we establish this is a mega region. We all have to be partners in this. Economic development doesn't stop at jurisdictional boundaries, and we need to get people back to work. And again, thank you to all the hosts for this very informative event. So I look forward to working with all of you to get our economy back on track, both in Mexico and in Arizona, because Mexico is our largest trading partner. Thank you.
My Supervisor Bronson. And finally, the Director Mario Guevara, please your comments about it.
Sí, claro que sí. Nosotros lo que insistimos es en que si seguimos trabajando en proyectos comunes, vamos a lograr generar una sinergia que nos permita seguir avanzando. Hay problemas comunes que merecen una solución común. Hay ciudades vecinas entre nosotros, en las cuales si nos seguimos coordinando como lo hemos venido haciendo con San Luis, Arizona, con Somerton, con Yuma, con San Luis Río Colorado, y si a la vez incluimos a Puerto Peñasco y a Puerto Aquillas Calles, seguramente vamos a fortalecer esta región. Yo sí quisiera decirles que esta parte de aquí de Sonora y la parte de Arizona, también somos parte de la megaregión, como lo estamos viendo. Sí, nos gustaría que en lo sucesivo nos siguieran invitando a estas reuniones para seguir participando, seguir aportando, seguir haciendo algo para que los beneficios que se vean reflejados aquí sean para todos, pero también los problemas que tengamos podamos resolverlo entre todos. Nosotros hemos hecho una agenda de trabajo con el condado de Yuma, con el desarrollo económico de Yuma, la cual hemos impulsado fuerte y hemos logrado atraer algunos proyectos importantes para la región, como el tema del gas natural. Es un tema que nos beneficia a las partes. En ese sentido, si logramos hacer eso, seguramente vamos a tener muchos mejores resultados. Y decirles que la aportación de nuestra ciudad para la solución de los problemas es de tal suerte de que estamos seguros que podemos colaborar de una manera muy efectiva.
Muchas gracias, Mario. Kevin?
Thank you very much to all the panelists, and I want to turn the program back to Economic Development Chair and Council Member David Luna.
Thank you for our distinguished panelists and moderators. Now I would like to welcome the representatives from both Arizona and Sonora's governor's offices. We have the pleasure of having Pano Salido, Sonora Governor's Claudia Pavlovich, Chief of Staff. We're very happy he's here. He has led both Secretaries of Tourism and Communication for the state of Sonora. Furthermore, he was state representative of Sonora State Legislature. Welcome, Pano, and thank you for joining us today. We are also pleased to have with us Juan Ciscomani, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey's Senior Advisor for Regional and International Affairs. Juan also serves as a Vice Chair of the Arizona-Mexico Commission, an organization that has, for more than 60 years, continues to strengthen our binational relations. Welcome, Juan. Now you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, and happy to be joining all of you virtually. Pano, saludos, amigo. We've been in meetings this week a couple of times already. So I know that the meetings today have been robust and the discussion has been very uplifting. You've heard from great speakers. So there isn't much that we can add except just share with you a little bit about what the state of Arizona is doing in this effort, along with Sonora as well. As you might have seen with the news yesterday, Governor Ducey lifted some of the mitigation policies that were in place, thanks to the trajectory in which we're going as a state, with over 3 million doses of the vaccine distributed, with decreasing hospitalization rates and also infection rates. All this combined has really put us on track and in a good trajectory to defeat this and get past where we are today in terms of meetings and business and everything else. So we want to thank the business community for this entire time working with everyone in their municipalities and state government and local governments to help us take all the right policies and steps to get to this point. And of course, to the first responders as well. The relationship with Sonora continues to be strong. Governor Pavlovich and Governor Ducey have been in touch throughout the entire process of the pandemic. Our teams have also been working together. Thankfully, we had set up many of these policies and many of this infrastructure to work together on through health emergencies in years past. This is even before our time, but through the Arizona-Mexico Commission's work of decades ago, and also the Comisión Sonora Arizona, we laid out a lot of the foundational work that has helped us get to the point to be able to cooperate where we are today. So some of the quick things that I'll just quickly mention, because I know we're out of time for this year, we've continued to work with our border communities to share mitigation strategies to slow the spread of the virus. We're also proud to host our friends from Sonora earlier this year when they came to tour the state-run vaccination efforts that have generated national and international attention, which started at the Cardinals Stadium and now has spread out to soon to be five locations, including Yuma. We've worked together with our federal partners to initiate a touchless border initiative. Now over 100,000 trucks have been processed through the border with no touch, no documents, no document exchange, no cash exchange, none of that. And this started even before the pandemic hit, but it was perfect timing to attack this era as well. So in closing, David, I just want to thank you again for the invitation and let everyone know that although the virus knows no borders, and we've seen that, neither does the collaboration and the partnership and friendship that Sonora and Arizona have created for decades before us, but even more so and strengthened under Governor Ducey and Governor Pavlovich. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to hearing my good friend Pano. Pano, te lo dejamos a ti, amigo.
Muchas gracias, Juan. Ya veo que sigues en el cuarto de tus hijos con el Capitán América atrás.
Yeah, we share an office. It's everyone, kids and wife, and mine office as well.
David, thank you so much. And also to the Consul Ken, good to see you again. Consul Mendoza, a la alcaldesa de Hermosillo, los alcaldes, a los mayors, gracias de veras por la invitación y por poder platicar de la experiencia que hemos vivido en este último año, over a year, ¿no? La verdad es que ha sido un año muy complicado para todos, pero esta relación nos ha ayudado a entender más cómo podemos cooperar como una megaregión. Y la verdad es que, como bien decía Juan, el gobernador Ducey y la gobernadora Pavlovich han venido trabajando juntos los últimos 5 años muy fuerte, pero en esta crisis no ha sido la excepción y la verdad es que han sido muy solidarios. Y ahorita escuchando a la Mayor Kate y a la alcaldesa Célida, cuando empezó la pandemia, lo difícil primero que era conseguir pruebas. Era un tema muy complicado, lo es de recordar, Célida, para poder conseguir pruebas, para que la gente tuviera acceso a pruebas. Era muy complicado en el mundo, pero aquí en México así lo era. Y gracias al apoyo de la Comisión Sonora Arizona, que nos enlazó con la UFA y con la Universidad de Sonora, se hizo una estrategia para poder tener la metodología y la tecnología para tener pruebas y poder empezar a mitigar esta pandemia. Eso fue al principio, en abril del año pasado. Más adelante también, con la generosidad de la Comisión Sonora Arizona, empezamos a recibir también cubrebocas. También recuerdo que era complicado el tener cubrebocas. Era algo que no entendíamos muy bien si era positivo o negativo, pero gracias a esa generosidad logramos recibir más de 80,000 cubrebocas. Eso fue en el verano, en el summer. Y ahora más reciente lo que dijo Juan, una delegación de médicos sonorenses en enero fueron a conocer el proceso de vacunación en el State Farm Stadium y conocieron cómo están haciéndolo muy bien Arizona. Creo que Arizona se ha sacado un 10, un 100 en el proceso de vacunación y gracias a ello nosotros el día de ayer anunciamos que vamos a tener el Estadio Sonora aquí en Hermosillo como un lugar para poder vacunar primero a los adultos mayores y más adelante a la población general de aquí de Hermosillo. Gracias a la alcaldesa Célida, a las autoridades federales y a esa experiencia que fuimos a conocer allá en Arizona, pues miren cómo ese ejemplo lo podemos traer para acá, para Sonora. Entonces, yo tampoco no quiero profundizar mucho en la materia, nomás exhortarlos a seguir trabajando. También tenemos que reconocer al gobierno de Estados Unidos. Ayer le dije al cónsul nos están donando 2.7 millones de vacunas a nuestro país. Eso también habla de la cooperación entre ambos países y de verdad, cónsul, para que le des las gracias por supuesto, al embajador, al gobierno de Estados Unidos por ese apoyo que le están dando a México y por supuesto que Sonora debe de ser beneficiado de ello. Entonces, estamos muy contentos de acompañarlos. Juan, te veo próximamente. Siempre es un gusto verte y aprecio mucho el cariño que le tienes a Sonora y a tus amigos de acá.
Nos vemos pronto, Pano. Muchas gracias. Saludos.
Thank you, Juan and Pano. It was indeed an honor to hear the representatives from Arizona and Sonora. Our event today can only demonstrate the relevance of continuing working binationally to grow globally. Depending upon the situation this year, the Ari-Son Megaregion Council is pleased to continue this binational discussion during the Arizona League of Cities and Towns annual conference scheduled for August 31st through September 3rd at the Arizona Biltmore Resort in Phoenix. Please follow our social media for more updates. We will adjourn this meeting. On behalf of the Ari-Son Megaregion Council, we thank all of the distinguished participants today and encourage everyone that joined us to subscribe to receive information about our upcoming binational events at the link on the chat section. Don't forget to answer our survey and follow us on the social media shown on your screen. Again, thank you and enjoy your weekend.